I think part of it is a lack of understanding potentially of the experience of the other parties. So as a patient, you sort of understand that doctors have a lot of things going on, or providers are very busy, and as a provider, you definitely understand like the science behind having diabetes or whatever condition, and you kind of have an idea of what it feels like to be the other person, but you obviously aren't them. So it's trying to bridge the empathy gap, and communicate effectively. That can be one of the challenges. Opening up a dialogue, especially when you first meet a patient, and communicating with them, kind of like Maureen said in her keynote earlier today, just asking what matters to you. The kind of providers that have done that for me have been much more successful than the kind that have kind of gone into especially a first appointment with a sort of prescription in their mind of, all right, here's what we're going to do for a patient with diabetes, or Mike, if I can give an example, I'm still looking for an endocrinologist at Michigan that kind of fits with me as far as treatment goes. I work with an endocrinologist for research, but that's a separate thing. And one endocrinologist who I met with sort of didn't allow me to talk about my goals as a patient or anything, just kind of got my numbers and said, all right, I have your chart, here's what we're going to do with managing your diabetes in the future. But there was never well, what are your goals for this appointment? What do you perceive as your challenges, and what do you perceive as areas of improvement? So their recommendation was increase, or changing of dosages, whereas I think if I had been given the opportunity to dictate how that appointment would have gone, it would have been much more about how can we change this sort of behavior, and how can I make it more convenient for me to eat in this circumstance, or check my blood sugar in this circumstance, being a college student who's much busier. There's probably a lot that could be said from a psychological point of view as far as a first impression leading towards different types of communication, but I think as someone who's only taken one psych class, I think it sets the tone for the way the treatment will progress. So the second visit is probably going to be much like the first visit, just because you tend to fall into a routine. So it's important for a good working relationship to be established, as quickly as possible, and a provider to demonstrate that they're willing to empathize with the patient, and also, for the patient to, if they do have specific goals in mind, kind of go in and express what type of patient they are.